Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Firoz Manji from Daraja Press talking today on organizing in the time of COVID-19. I'm really pleased today to have Cesare Ottolini, I hope I pronounced that correctly, who's the global coordinator for the International Alliance of Inhabitants based in Italy. He's himself a former squatter and has engaged since 1977 in global and local struggles for the right to housing and the right to the city. And he was also the secretary of the trade union of the building former world coordinator of Habitat International Coalition, and also a member of UN Habitat Advisory Group on Forced Evictions. He's a member of the National Union Inquilini, I think it's pronounced, Secretariat, the largest tenant organization in Italy that organizes every year the Zero Evictions Day in dozens of cities. And he's a member of the International Council of the World Social Forum, co-founder and global coordinator of the International Alliance of Inhabitants. And he is a co-founder and lives in a housing cooperative of collective ownership, the Coralli Cooperative, with migrants and Italians. I think there is going to be a lot of interest in having you talk to us today, Cesare. A warm welcome to you. I'm really pleased to have you on the show. I think, really today, let's talk about the situation which the homeless, those who are struggling for shelter, both nationally in Europe and internationally, in the times of COVID, and let's just discuss those. But I think people will also be very interested, and perhaps later on, we'll raise the question about, well, what is happening in Italy, which is most appalling situation, and people need to understand why this is happening and what are the challenges facing. So a warm welcome to you. And so, well, let me ask you then, what is happening in terms of the struggles of the homeless, of those seeking shelter in the times of COVID? What are the main things that are people facing?
At the global level, there are at least 1.8 billion people or homeless or ill-lodged. Means there are no affordable housing. They live in slum. They live at risk of eviction. They are renters. They are owner, but they are paying their mortgage to the banks. So a lot of people. And the COVID, the coronavirus, only discovered a crisis in housing and the urban crisis already burning, already affecting a lot of people. It's not a fate. It's not a fate. The neoliberalism is showing that failed to address the situation in the past century, and recently they said the free market, we have to privatize the sector. Only this way, with the unlimited development, we can have a future for the humanity. I remember that on 2016 we was in Quito, Ecuador, where the UN Habitat organized the third World Forum, the Habitat Tree. There, we, as International Alliance of Inhabitants, together with a lot of other organizations, we hold a global counter forum. The People Social Forum resist to Habitat Tree because we contest, we are against this kind of vision of the future, the human future. The cities are the engine of the wellness for all the no, 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 no. So what is happening right now? The people is affected, is beaten. The neoliberalism was beaten, but it's not dead. It's not dead. There are a portal opened on the future. There are different kind of opportunity because crisis means opportunity, but depend what the people have the conscience and they're willing to carry out. So right now the people, the organization, the International Alliance of Inhabitants, the members, authors around the world are trying to organize the relief. Relief means, for example, in India, bring the food for the unemployed because of the day-to-day workers, the daily workers, the informal workers. So first food, the health, sanitization, the minimum. Not, but this kind of activity is not finalized. It's not for the resilience because the word, the mainstream is we have to be resilient. No, please, no, we are not resilient. We don't want to adapt ourselves to the rules of the neoliberalism. We are showing and supporting the solidarity, bring the food as sign, concrete sign of solidarity to prepare the resistance, the re-existence.
Right.
So the first is this.
Right. So you're not enabling people just to live with neoliberalism, but you're expressing solidarity so that they can organize against the conditions of neoliberalism.
Of course. In sorry about India, but also some Islam in Africa. What we are supporting first, we are showing what is happening from the very beginning, and because we understood what will happen in the future, we disseminate a strong call, zero eviction for coronavirus, a call, an international call, and we began to collect stories, struggles, initiatives, action, proposal from all over the world in different languages in the special web page of the II. This is the words who show what is happening, what the people are organizing. More precisely, we are supporting some specific struggles. For example, when we talk and we support zero eviction campaign means the people don't have to be evicted, zero at all. Right now, the owner of the world, they are talking about we have to densify. I don't know the word. So divide the slum, expel in order to have safe cities. This is not a solution. Evict people means disseminate more the pandemic. It's not this the solution. In general, this proposal obtains some concrete results. We begin, for example, from Italy, my direct experience, because here the pandemic show the strong power is still powerful. So the first, together with my tenants union, we struggle. We obtain the suspension, the frozen for all the eviction. Right now, up till June, but probably by the end of this year, because we are still struggling to extend the period
So,
of moratorium.
so you're organizing to prevent evictions
Yes, we obtain from the government before from
Okay.
at the different in the different province the suspension. So no at all. Later, also the government decide, okay, extend the moratorium of eviction and also about the payment of the rents.
Okay. So are there rent strikes taking place?
It's not a rent strike, it's different.
Okay.
It's
So
not
explain.
rent strike. Me was a rent striker on 19, and we won.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it was fantastic
Uh-huh.
because we struggled against the uh, kind of a public owner. Eh, we protest because of very high price, uncontrolled the bills, etc. So we carried out the self-reduction of the rents, autoriduzione. And we won with a precise objective and precise confrontation. Uh, what we obtain here in Italy, but also in Spain, in French, in US, frozen the eviction and also a moratorium of the rents. But this not means that the people have not to pay, unfortunately. No. The government said, okay, you can pay later in 3 months, 6 months. For Spain, there are different opportunity. They don't pay. They can pay in 6 months, for example, and they obtain a microcredit, or they can renegotiate their rents. This is an interesting opportunity
Yes.
because the problem is that when hopefully in probably in 1 year or more we will go out the crisis, there will be a huge economic crisis. So the people cannot afford to pay all the arrears. Wow, hi, hi, impossible. So in order to prevent the problem in some months, we are struggling to obtain from the government some concrete subside money.
Right.
Right now, in general, the rich country, they are putting a lot of billion of euro or dollars. So we are trying to obtain a redistribution of this wealth. In Italy, we obtain up till now 150 million euro for subsidize the rents for the people can't pay their rents. The a little victory is not but it's important to understand that we can obtain. It is without rent strike, but with the mobilization uh, towards the political parties, with the interview, with the media support, social, etc. It's important. Other countries, they are trying to obtain the same. Probably other countries have already more rent subsidized. Uh, I think, for example, in Sweden or in Germany or the UK, there's a lot of, but it's not enough. So they are thinking how obtain more. The rent strike was launched the past month, begin in North America, and something in Spain. They discuss, but not too much. They discuss. They launch they provoke rent strike in order to self-obtain. In italiano we said praticare l'obiettivo. So, aim the objective already without wait.
Right.
Is interesting, is important. Our friends, our comrades are inside that, and we have put in the special Facebook page, Rent Strike, you can find 100 of activities related to the rent strike. The rent strike is still, there are weak coordination at the global level, strong coordination in the North America, US, in the US more strong, and also in Spain. At the global level, the people are thinking how have a concrete objective. The objective we can obtain at the national level, like a special fund to subsidize rents. But how propose something stronger? Because if it's true that the crisis can go out of the crisis before 1 year, means a lot of money. So the idea is to also to request to the owner to lower
the rents.
the rents.
Right.
For example, right now we are in different. We have a law because there are the free market and the market, the negotiation at the provincial level. Following the COVID crisis, the real estate market is shut down.
Yeah.
Especially the short-term rents.
Right.
Really incredible. But this situation is not reflected in the agreement, the provincial agreement, because it was on the base of the past year, so higher.
Okay.
So what we are struggling is to negotiate, and some negotiate at the private level. So there are already some owners, they prefer to have a lower rents now than to have nothing and to struggle in the tribunal to obtain something. So they prefer, but this is at a private level.
Right.
What we are trying is to obtain, to negotiate at the provincial level, at least in Italy, lower another kind of agreement to lower the rent. This is in Italy, could be another.
Yeah.
The problem is that in general, there are not this kind of opportunity, because in general, there are the informal market.
Right.
Especially in the poor countries.
Right. But sticking to Italy, I mean, before this crisis occurred, I mean, Italy was a center of attention because of the number of migrants from Africa who were crossing the Mediterranean, and if they survived, some of them arrived in Italy. I presume that those camps are still refugee camps there. So now, in the conditions of COVID, what is their situation? What kind of organizing is happening around there? And what does your organization do in relation to refugees who find themselves in Italy?
So right now, it's very, very, very important question, because before this crisis, in general, the people of the right-wing government said they have to stay in their country. But in reality, right now, that the people, the migrant, can't arrive to work on our agricultural, for example. they are requesting the migrant How? This is the first contradiction inside the neoliberal policies and the
Let me
government.
understand that. They are asking migrant
Yes, they are
come and
asking.
work
Yes, yes, they are asking this.
because they don't have enough labor to.
So we don't have enough labor uh, mm, to stay in the agricultural for the products.
Okay, so
The right period, and they are why, how? But at the same time, the problem is that the migrants or the refugees, they are living in very bad condition. We are following as a tenants union, especially in the south, the situation of the in Sicily, for example, in Calabria, some slum self-built by the people, by the migrant, to and to enlargement. But what kind of proposal from the political power, from the local authorities, from the government? Nothing.
right.
Nothing. For that, I just this morning I discussed with the comrades from the south. They are preparing a letter, a complaint to send to the special rapporteur for the right to housing, the UN special rapporteur for the right to housing, saying that here the Italian government, the local authorities are violating the international covenant on the right, on the economic, social, and the cultural right, especially the Article 11, and the Article 11 is the right to housing, and the right Article 12 is the right to health. What can move the special rapporteur? It's very interesting because the special rapporteur don't have the power, they don't have, they can send the judge to decide, etc. But they have a important way, political and moral way, to highlight that the government have to respect their own legal commitment. Because when a government, and Italy and almost all the countries around the world have ratified the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, they are duty, the obligation to respect that. If they don't respect that, the special rapporteur send a complaint. The government they have to reply. If they don't reply, the special rapporteur follow, and then present a special report can go in mission. For example, in Italy, we are thinking about that. She stay in outer countries. I accompanied the special rapporteur in France the last year from her mission in France, and then they present the annual report in front to the the UN General Assembly, the report about the state that they are violating, to shame, at least to shame, but not all to shame. It's important to highlight that at the local level, I talk about Italy, but the same could be also all over the world. The people can, I strongly suggest, please use the international covenant, the respect, in front to the tribunal. In front to the tribunal. When you present your complaint, highlighting that they are violating their obligation. So for the specific case, but also for other cases, this is what we have threatened the government before to obtain the suspension of the eviction. We said you have to respect your engagement.
But going back to the situation that refugees are facing,
Yeah.
and the appalling housing conditions in which they are in the camps and so on, I mean, it seems that all the governments internationally, their strategy is based on three things: social distancing, washing hands, and using soap and other alcohols to disinfect. But for those refugees, as for many homeless, many shack dwellers in Africa, social distances is meaningless in that you're living under incredibly crowded conditions. There is no possibility to be 2 meters from other people. Under those conditions, then, what what is possible? What is the potential? How do you organize under conditions of that kind?
Yes, it's a meaningful, but in this time, the social distance is the only one opportunity to survive, really. How obtain that? How obtain that? For that, it's important to highlight the word portal. We have the possibility, the opportunity to decide if you wanted to enter the portal for the radical alternative or to stay in the same portal and to be resilient. Be resilient means try to don't move too much, wash your hands, found the little solution. Yes, the little solutions are important, but quite impossible in general. We should think about a radical change means struggle for the right to housing and right to lands, means to obtain another kind of policy. For example, when we talk about social production of habitat, try to systematize what the people are already made when they self-build their hut or lodgement, etc. Means to understand they need to have a lot of land, not to be overcrowded, but a plot with services, water, garbage, etc., 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 the roads, etc. It means a strong public intervention, strong public intervention. So cooperatives, I'm living in cooperative of collective ownership. What means? Right now, for example, concrete, very concrete. There are the crisis, economic crisis. Some members of the cooperatives are baited by the crisis because the kind of job they cannot work right now for 2 months, and they should pay the rents to the cooperatives. Usually, without an umbrella, the public umbrella, the law, they should be evicted. But in the cooperative, no, because we decide that in solidarity, we don't want their own rents. We are cooperative, a solidarity cooperative. It's not their fault. So, this kind of social housing means strength, the opportunity to live, to have the security of tenure, the affordable housing. Without that, it was already evicted. I'm sure.
Yeah,
In Africa, in Kenya, in Nairobi, in the 10 years ago, we support a strong zero eviction campaign in Nairobi to fight against the threatened eviction for 3,000 and 300,000 people because they want to build to put in security because the electricity, etc., etc. A lot, you know. We want together the organization. The problem was after that how upgrade up even better neighborhood. For that we struggle obtain the debt cancellation. In this case, we obtain that the Italy renounce at 40 million euro. One part of this was used for improve to in the Coro slum. You know Coro.
Yeah.
What a problem! I arrived to the question. There was a conflict. We don't agree with the proposition. The winner proposition was the people have to obtain their own private plot. This is not the solution, unfortunately, because when the people have their own plot, when they are in crisis, right now, the people with the lockdown lose their source of income. The first they made is to sell their plot. They've lost their job, and they lost also their housing. Not a solution. The private. Better to think to the social, collective, and public. For that, we should enter with the portal. What portal? The same neoliberal portal, or a new kind of development, the social and the public housing.
Let me pose two questions to you, really. It is the most dispossessed who are going to suffer most from the COVID pandemic. We see in America that it is majority of African American, Latino, etc., who are the most seriously affected. Do you see this giving rise to a vast disenchantment with government and a potential organizing and opposition to that? So that's question one. The second question, in a sense, is related. With the COVID pandemic, you have major changes occurring, like you're talking about lowering rents, postponing payment, postponing evictions. To what extent are we going to be seeing structural changes occurring on a permanent basis? That, for example, cooperatives being established, the ability for the state to or the private sector to evict people being limited. So do you see structural changes taking place as a result of this?
It's not automatic to enter the right portal. It's not automatic. First, because in general, the people struggling, usually they are struggling for their own neighborhood or the city or at the national level. The case of the US comrade, I think, is very interesting because right now they are organizing the rent strike, but in the debate and discussion, we are not sure we have very well understood, and all the people have understood that there are global struggle. Global struggle means think and strategize at the global level, enter in the right portal. We stay in New York last year for the session of the International Tribunal on Eviction. organized by our friends of Right to Council and Author. In this case, Mike Davis was one of the jury member.
Mm-hmm.
There was very interesting how they organized the tribunal, quite different from the International Tribunal on Eviction we organize following specific guidelines. They are more show, less probably grounded in the future and links at the international level. But it's interesting, the debate we had the occasion to develop, discussing how organize this specific session of the tribunal. Very interesting. So we are thinking that step by step, we are converging. It's not automatic. To converge with the try to enter together in the open the portal of the alternatives. First, we have to show that there are different approaches. So, for example, the little piece we are putting is the Facebook pages. The other is to try to have a platform, global platform, international, the global platform, to discuss about it. Discuss means, for example, may we have to discuss about the rent strike? Yes. What means? That's direction. On the ground, the debt, the private debt on the one hand, and the other hand, the need to have a strong public intervention. Private.
Seem to have lost you. You seem to have frozen for some reason. You're coming back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rent strike, public intervention, private debt, and public debt. Public debt could be repaid to the towns. They are printing money, print billion, trillion of euro, dollars, etc. But after that, what will happen? Will happen what happened in Greece after the crisis? Blood, the policies of huge cut on the social to repay the borrowers. The US government is employed a lot of money in general to as a anti-cyclic for the crisis of the neoliberalism, and to try to social control, so money for that. But after that, how repay? We are to not to think, but we have, as AI from the very beginning, we are inside and put our contribution to the global movement against the debt. The little example, the little victory for Kenya is an example, but could be and should be developed further after the crisis. So, but we have to prepare that in the strategy. For that is important, discuss. And how discuss? Next year, hopefully, there will be the World Social Forum in Ciudad de Mexico, January. Probably we don't have that. Probably.
Yeah.
But we have the opportunity to organize via internet. We have already organized, for example, tomorrow in the afternoon, we'll have in a global assembly of the global platform for the right to the city on that. But our idea to organize in May a global assembly of the inhabitant organization to begin to discuss. So try to take advantage of this opportunity. It's not easy. It's not automatic. Depend.
Okay. Well, I'm just showing your excellent website, which I would encourage people to have a look at, because I think there's a lot of information there.
Yeah.
One final question, really, just go back to Italy.
Hmm.
Why has Italy been hit so badly by COVID? Is this an act of God? Have you done something wrong? Or what has led to Italy being so severely affected?
It's not depend from the God, not from the devil, not from the fate. And first of all, I have to highlight that the data, the number, the official number, the real number, the real number are from 5 to 10 times the data the government is showing.
Wow. 10 times, 5 to 10 times the actual.
It's not my organization or the leftists saying that, but I'm talking about Lombardia, the province of Bergamo and the Milan, etc., because the local government, ruled by the Lega, rightist, very well connected with the industry. When arrived the first cases, they said, no, no problem. Lombardia, Bergamo, Milan are running, no problem. And for the very beginning, the 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 the, the, the health system say, no, please, we have to close because the World Organization of Health said we have to close. Say no, and they don't provide the mask also in the hospital, also for the residents, for the elderly, and in province of Bergamo, dozen, no, thousand and thousand people died without any test. They died, and the statistics are very clear, from 5 to 10 times the average of death. But the past year, this year, they are the doctors, they say that. They are the measure, they say that. They are the people living, because they decide don't show that there are the crisis in order to follow the production. And right now, they are discussing to reopen the industry, reopen in order to produce, because Lombardia is the engine of the Renaissance of the Italy. Granbo was the elder people, but there are 30 judges try to investigate, 30 different judges in all Italy, but especially in North Italy, investigating about the allegation, about the proof the people send to the judge. They say they complained. My my parents died because. So please, this will be very interesting, and for all the people around the world to understand that it's not the fate. We can prevent the death, but this is a conflict with the neoliberalism. Neoliberalism, let's go, no problem. Okay, no problem. We have to show that.
So it's criminal neglect.
Criminal, really criminal. The people are crying for their loved ones, but they are crying against the government, local government.
So if it's criminal neglect, what are the possibilities for legal action of some kind being taken against increasing number of states, neoliberal states. You have the same thing in the USA, in the UK, you have it in France, you have it in Spain. What are the potentials for using international instruments to um, can this be considered a crime against humanity?
Back at the responsible, yes, of course. To say that it's important to highlight that the UN Special Rapporteur on the right to housing prepare a guidance note to face the housing crisis in different sectors in general, for homeless, for informal settlements, for renters and mortgages. And that they highlighted the article and some important proposition we discussed with them. So this guidance note should be disseminated, should be one of the tools used by the general movement for the right to housing, for the right to the city, for the right to health, for the right to income, with some simple suggestion for example, for the homeless. There are a lot of empty houses. You should made a requisition of the empty house. Why not? So, for example, in French, some authorities made the requisition of empty or hotel building. In Italy, no.
No.
In Spain, the law probably they could, but it's very interesting. This is one of the solution possible. Not like in US, where I think you watch the horrible picture where the homeless was put on the parking with the social distance. This is the criminal. Yeah, Nazis. It's Nazis. This.
Well, Cesare, it's been really excellent to have you on this show, and I'm so sorry that my Italian is non-existent.
Is not.
Been very kind to have helped us in understanding the situation. And as I mentioned earlier on, this is the website of the International Alliance of Inhabitants, and I would strongly recommend people to visit that.
And the two Facebook pages, one about the activity. There are at least right now 650 posts, and also on rent strike.
Okay, so that's on their Facebook page.
Yes.
International Association of Inhabitants. But Cesare, thank you very much for being on the show today. Really, and very nice to meet you at last. And I hope that we will have the opportunity to talk directly to some of your members internationally. And hopefully the language we can try and work out.
You know that, for example, the Latin American is quite difficult. But for example, you could talk with the Philippine Kadamai, because they are the fascist aspect, because we don't talk about the authoritarianism.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Philippines. So it could be interesting for you to interview our friends Kadamai and from India.
Yeah, please.
America also.
Put us in touch. Once again, thank you very much for being on the show. And you take care, and all the best.
And you. Ciao. Ciao, solidarity.
Okay, and to you. That was Cesare Ottolini from the International Alliance of Inhabitants. Thank you for joining us on this show. And keep an eye out for our future broadcasts. This is Firoz Manji signing off from Organising in the Time of COVID.